that this is the moral issues of our time. And we let's not even worry about different religions. As a humanity, we have progressed so much. And yet at the same time, we have not been able to stop what is unfolding in front of our eyes on our 4K screens. So I think this is, on a personal level, this has depressed me. On a second personal level is the self-censorship, that if myself or many of my colleagues, if we couldn't agree with anything, we couldn't say. If we did not agree with anything, we couldn't say, because the fear of repercussions had been very, very strong, still is, and I believe it continues to be for us. So I think on a personal level, I still question that how humanity has allowed this, and secondly, how it has also, in a quote-unquote age of democracy, when we talk about freedom of expression, we have to be so worried about what we say, what specific words we say. So just to be as a responsible social scientist, I would say everyone has the right to say things. Yes, there are certain things we want to be careful not to say to offend people, but at the same time, if something is happening at a mass level on a continuous basis, and we are seeing it in front of our eyes, how lives of innocent children, and especially children and women, and let's not also, when we focus on children and women, let's not forget men too. They are equal. They're paying equal price in order to keep their families intact. So I think, in my short answer to this is, in years and decades to come, humanity has to do a lot of reckoning what has happened, and we as society, as a human society, has to think that how does this transpire? And if there is one thing that has sort of depressed me, is the lack of collective action that has gone through, and it continues to be, unfortunately. This goes back to my initial argument, and let's not argument, it's observation. We all are resilient. And our resilience unfolds in the wake of crisis, and it has been happening throughout human history. So in some ways, what we are seeing in Palestine doesn't hugely surprise me, because that is the human spirit is speaking, that despite losing their homes, despite being moved sometimes 50 times, losing everything, you see a Palestinian mom, and the interviews ask her how you're doing, and the words are Alhamdulillah. It is just amazing. You must have heard about the word Sumud, the resilience, the very indigenous concept of resilience among Palestinians. So I think if you look at the historical perspective, it's not something very new to them. They have endured these hardships for decades. So this is the cumulative resilience that is coming through. I think what is not surprising to them, but what is surprising to me, is the same thing where I said in the previous answer, is how the world has let this happen, and how we as a humanity on a collective basis have failed them. I think that's, if there's anything that depresses me, it is this lack of collective action, and that I have no words. And I include myself in that group who has not been able to do that. And I hope we learn lessons from this trauma. One thing that has helped me to counteract the helplessness is the resilience of young people I alluded. the resilience of young people, especially people who are not even Muslims, in parts of the world, New York City, Berlin, Hague, Amsterdam, South Africa, even recently as in Korea, Japan, seeing these young people recognizing that this is the moral crisis of our time and we have to rise to do something is the biggest sense of hope, biggest thing that I think gives me hope, that helps me A, with the helplessness, B, that much like of the Holocaust of the following World War II, when humanity decided never again, we have another moment in our history that we said never again, yet similar things has happened. And what is it that we need to do? What is it that we didn't do last time that it led to this? So rather than going into factions, we need to think as a collective humanity. Because I would say that, yes, religious identity is important, but for me, the biggest question is of humanity. That if this has happened within last 100 years, couple of times in different parts of the world, this can happen again. So how we as a human society can let these kind of atrocities perpetuate and repeat? Because if we don't take any actions, and our actions need to be collective, we need to find a way of listening to each other's with empathy and understand, yes, there will be certain parts we will not agree with each other. But by listening empathically, we'll at least arrive at a place where we can coexist despite differences. These differences have been created as in our religion for us to recognize each other. So those differences also create that diversity, that richness of human life. But then when we turn those differences into lines of divide and such sharp divides, that's not good for anyone. So I think we as a humanity need to think what steps we need to take, and my biggest hope are young people like you.